It was the early year of 2022, deep within Piranha Plant Slide. There had been some leaks and rumors about Nintendo developing the next entry for the Mario Kart series. And since then, there have been speculations, predictions, just to see what the next entry has to offer. But a month later, a Nintendo Direct was aired. New infos about upcoming Switch titles at the time, and even the Earthbound games coming to the NSO. But however, at the near end of the Direct, Mario Kart, which we later revealed to be a new DLC content for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe unexpectedly. The Booster Course Pass, which features tons of retro tracks from previous entries to the series, including tracks originating from Mario Kart Tour, which are the main highlights throughout the entire DLC. Hey everyone, Manny at the Game Manny channel here, and welcome to a brand new Mario Kart video. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC has been out for 2 years already, and holy shit, has it really been 2 years already? Jeez. But anyways, we finally reached the end of the Booster Course Pass era with the final wave released in November of last year. I wish Nintendo could add 3 more waves. But hey, it's time to move on to the next game. Speaking of which, I do want to apologize for the lack of Wave 6 review video. It's just that my partner has been busy a lot, and the Wave 6 video is meant to be a collaboration. I'm still gonna review Wave 6 though, but unfortunately I sadly canceled the collaboration and do the review on my own. Yeah, I know, it's pretty bummer. But anyways, so in this video, as well as the later videos, I'll be reviewing the first 3 waves of the DLC, since those waves came out during my hiatus, and I've already done Wave 4 and 5, which you should check it out. Wave 1 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass was first released on March 18, 2022. It marks the first journey of the DLC by the end of 2023. The first thing when purchasing the DLC, or get the DLC free if you have the NSO expansion pack, you'll get a new cup selection menu featuring all 12 cups. Each wave will come in with 2 cups with 8 tracks released. As for the first wave, we start the DLC with the Golden Dash Cup and the Lucky Cat Cup. The Golden Dash Cup features Paris Promenade from Mario Kart Tour, Toad Circuit from Mario Kart 7, Choco Mountain from Mario Kart 64, and the fan favorite Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. While the Lucky Cat Cup features both Tokyo Blur and Ninja Highway from Mario Kart Tour, Shroom Ridge from Mario Kart DS, and Sky Garden from Mario Kart Super Circuit. And it's also worth mentioning that the first 3 waves didn't have any characters were added until Wave 4. So, enough wasting time, let's get on to the tracks themselves. The first track of the Golden Dash Cup, as well as the very first track of the entire Booster Course Pass in general, is our first city track in the DLC, Paris Promenade from Mario Kart Tour. A city track that takes place in the romantic city of Paris. Paris Promenade debuted in Mario Kart Tour during the 2019 Paris Tour. There are 4 different variants of Paris Promenade in Mario Kart Tour. The first variant I already mentioned, the Tour. Paris Promenade 2 debuted in the Valentine's Tour, which is a possible reference to Paris being named as the City of Love. The third variant was later introduced in the 2021 Paris Tour, and it was given a battle mode variant, Paris Promenade B, in the Spring Tour, which, off topic, battle mode sucks in Mario Kart Tour. The first 2 laps are based on both Paris Promenade 1 and 3. The race starts having you facing the Arc de Triomphe. Also, please forgive me if I butchered these names. There are 3 different paths you can take. The left side from Paris Promenade 1, or the right side from Paris Promenade 3, and in the middle from both Paris Promenade 1 and 3, which requires a mushroom or a star. You turn left passing through these buildings. After passing through these buildings, there's a glide ramp at the end that takes you through the Jardins du Trocadero. You have 2 different routes you can choose. One route features the famous Eiffel Tower, while the other facing you to the Luxor Obelisk. In addition, you can see the Notre-Dame de Paris. These 2 routes lead you to a big piranha plant. After passing through the giant piranha plant, you turn left passing the Palais Garnier, and then you make a right turn, you reach the finish line for the next lap. The final lap of the track is based on Paris Promenade 2R. Instead of going around the Arc de Triomphe, you turn left passing through the, oh boy, there it goes, Église Saint-Augustin La Madeleine. Again, I'm so sorry for the butcher. Additionally, there's a glider ramp added, as the rest of the lap is basically the first 2 laps, but reverse. Despite my time with Mario Kart Tour every single day, Paris Promenade and London Loop, which will be in the Wave 3 video, no it's one of the tracks that I hardly remember anything about the tracks and the variants, so I had to do some research on what the routes of each lap is based on, as well as knowing the city landmarks. But anyways, while this track isn't really my cup of tea, but it does really good job introducing a route changing mechanic as well as being the first 3 tour tracks to make an appearance in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which lead many possibilities for other Tour City tracks to be added in the DLC. The second track of the Golden Dash Cup is, oh my f***ing god, it's Toad Circuit from Mario Kart 7. The very first track in this original game, as you guessed it, the first track in Mushroom Cup. Woohoo, today you learned. Anyways, Toad Circuit will later return to Mario Kart Tour in the very first tour, the New York Tour. Interestingly, the track plays a huge role in Mario Kart Tour, serving as a tutorial track for the player when the game is downloading updates, which makes this track the flagship for the game. The race begins by heading straight to the first giant toad balloon. You make a long right turn until you reach the underneath of the first part. In addition, there's a glide ramp that will open up eventually during laps 2, which will make you glide over and grab those coins. Continue going straight until you enter the tunnel, and then you turn left. After exiting the tunnel, you can continue going through the track, or if you have a mushroom or a star, you can take the shortcut, or just don't use it at all, like I did, even though that was terrible. The track ends with a big left turn. Yeah, there's not much to say about this track, it's just a simple track that offers nothing, even if it was the first track in its original game. Also worth mentioning, this track in the DLC, as well as the game as a whole, is notorious for having the worst looking visuals and doesn't line up well with the base game, as well as the tracks from future waves. Usually I never care about the visual qualities, whether in the base game, the DLC, or any video games in general. But this track I cannot accept. Also, why bring in this track instead of other 3DS tracks like Shy Guy Bazaar? Since that track was originally going to be in the original Wii U, but got scrapped. Come on Nintendo, you give us Kamek and Wave 5, but not Shy Guy Bazaar? The only positive thing I can give this track is the music. The third track of the Golden Dash Cup is Choco Mountain from Mario Kart 64. Choco Mountain is the third track in the Flower Cup in its original game. Choco Mountain will later return to Mario Kart DS. Like most of the N64 tracks in DS, they mostly appeared as the second tracks in the Retro Cups, for Choco Mountain's case, being the second track in the Leaf Cup. Choco Mountain returns once again in Mario Kart Tour during the 2020 Exploration Tour. The race begins by going right to the twisty road. You then make a right U-turn that will lead you to Crystal Caverns. Inside the cave, there is an off-road shortcut you can take, but at the very end of the cave, there's a glide ramp that will glide you to the section with giant boulders that are falling down. After going through that, you take a right curved turn. In addition, there are banisters placed on the left, preventing you from falling. And finally, you make a final turn with a bunch of hills to trick off before finishing the lap. I enjoy this track. I only said that because I'm biased towards Mario Kart 64. It's one of the 2 tracks of this wave I love to race often, and the music has some of the best harmonica I ever heard. The final track of the Golden Dash Cup is a fan favorite Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. Coconut Mall is the second track in the Flower Cup in its original game. The track will later return in Mario Kart 7 as the third track in the Banana Cup. Coconut Mall also appears in Mario Kart Tour during the 2022 Doctor Tour, a month and a half later after the launch of Wave 1's release, making it one of the 7 tracks to appear in the Boosted Course Pass before their inclusion in Mario Kart Tour. The race starts at the entrance of the mall. As you enter the mall, there are 2 escalators in opposite direction. Taking the green side makes you go fast, while the red one slows you down. After going through the escalators, there are many different paths that you can take. On the upper floor, there's a left one that nobody cares for, or a right, or going to the bottom, or taking the shortcut there if you have a mushroom. You then come across a fountain where you can trick off as well the second set of escalators. After that, you make a U-turn to the outer courtyard with palm trees that you can trick off. There are also 2 dash panels on each side. After the courtyard, you make another U-turn, this time on the left, leading you to the food park where there are 2 different paths to take. On the left side features a dash panel and it takes you upward where there's a glider ramp to take, while the bottom at the right, where you'll see a lonely palm tree at the center, with the glide ramp at the end. You'll be exiting out of the mall from both sides, leading you to the parking lot. You then make a right turn where there are 2 cars to avoid as they will perform a donut maneuver, which will damage the player upon contact, prior to the release of version 2.1.0 update. The cars remained parked during the initial release of Wave 1. This will later be fixed in the said update alongside the release of Wave 2. You then make a final right turn and reach the finish line for the next lap. Okay, so this is going to sound controversial, but Coconut Mall is not a good track. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that is. Coconut Mall is one of the most beloved tracks in Mario Kart Wii, and a huge fan favorite Wii track with others like Mushroom Gorge, Toast Factory, Maple Treeway, etc. I like Coconut Mall. Even though it's not my favorite track, I honestly would put this on the top 5. It's not my top 3, but I would place it at either 5 or 4. Anyways, but for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version, however, what the hell happened to this track? The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of this track just doesn't have the same charm as the original. The track feels so alive, magical, and beautiful, but I don't see the beauty magic in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And the Tour remake looks mediocre compared to 8 Deluxe. But at the end, this is pretty much a downgrade to one of the beloved Wii tracks in my opinion. If you want to play a good Coconut Mall, just play the original. And that is all of the tracks of the Golden Dash Cup. And it's not a great start for the Booster Course Pass DLC. The tracks themselves, with the exception of Choco Mountain in my opinion, are pretty weak, god-awful, and downgraded. So let's see what the Lucky Cat Cup has to offer. And starting off with the Lucky Cat Cup is Tokyo Blur from Mario Kart Tour, a city track that takes place in Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo Blur debuted in Mario Kart Tour with Tokyo Blur 1 during the Tokyo Tour, the second tour in the game, 2 weeks after the game's launch. The second variant was introduced in the 2020 New Year's Tour. The third variant was introduced during the Summer Festival Tour, which could be a possible reference to Tokyo's hosting summer festivals in real life. And finally, the fourth and final variant was introduced during the 2021 Mario Tour. The first lap is based on Tokyo Blur 1. The race begins at the Rainbow Bridge. In the background, you can see Mount Fuji in the distance, as well as the Tokyo Tower. You start by turning right towards the Ginza before turning left. You then make a right U-turn near the National Diet Building in the Maricon, which you'll be heading to the tunnel for a short seconds. After the tunnel, you make 2 right turns, leading you back to the Rainbow Bridge for the second lap. In addition, there's also a small shortcut with a single ramp, as well as the landmarks featuring the Tokyo Skytree, Asahi Beer Hall, and Fuji TV's headquarters. The second lap is based on Tokyo Blur 2, and just like the first lap, you turn right, but instead of turning left, you turn right instead. There are 2 swamps to watch out for. You then go underneath the Kalimari Mon and turn right passing the Senso G, and just like the first lap, just make 2 right turns and you return the Rainbow Bridge once again. The final lap is based on, care to guess, Tokyo Blur 3. Just like the second lap, you turn right, but instead of heading to the Kaminari Mon, you make a short right turn to the Shudo Expressway. The toll gate will open up for racers to go through. You then turn right as there are 2 more swamps to avoid. You then make a spiral turn around the Tokyo Big Sight. At the very end of the highway, there's a glide ramp which you glide back to the Rainbow Bridge and finish the race. I'm going to be honest with you guys, while I do enjoy the amount of city tracks that were added in the DLC, but in my opinion, the Wave 1 city tracks are pretty weak. Sure, you can argue that Paris Promenade and Tokyo Blur were introduced back in the early days of Mario Kart Tour when the game was new at the time, but as for Tokyo Blur, it's pretty much the weakest out of all the city tracks in this game. Don't get me wrong, I've dreamed of visiting Japan, as I have a huge love for the country, with its culture, as well as their food, video games, anime, mangas, but at least I can give this track some credit for introducing me these landmarks. I mostly know a few landmarks of Japan, Mount Fuji, Tokyo Tower, and Akigahara, and the music of this track is a better improvement than the tour version. Overall, yeah, like I mentioned, it's pretty much a weak track. Next is Shroom Ridge from Mario Kart DS. Shroom Ridge is the 4th and final track in the Flower Cup in Mario Kart DS. Shroom Ridge will also make an appearance in Mario Kart Tour during the 2023 Doctor Tour, which is almost a year after Wave 1's launch. Shroom Ridge is one of the 2 new retros to debut in the Booster Course Pass, with the other being GBA Snowland in Wave 2. The race begins on a nearby cliff. You race straight until you make a wide left turn, leaving the ridge. You then make a right and left turn between the hills. It should also be worth noting that you'll encounter tons of cars, trucks throughout the entire race. You then make your way to the straight row hill. There's also a shortcut on your left in the meadows which features a glide ramp. After going through straight, you turn left and then turn right as you enter the tunnel. You then return to the ridge where you can make some S-turns before finishing the lap. There's also an additional shortcut that features a fan that will blow the wind for you to make a shortcut, but that does require the use of mushroom, even if you're playing it on 200cc. As I mentioned this on my Wave 5 review with Moonview Highway, I'm not too crazy with the traffic themed tracks in the series. As for Shroom Ridge, I really didn't care for it. Shroom Ridge is one of those tracks that I am less fond of. I don't hate the track, don't get me wrong, I grew up with Mario Kart DS. But this track, as well as the other DS tracks in the base game and the DLC, are mixed in my opinion. There are some good DS tracks, and somewhat boring tracks, and Shroom Ridge goes into the latter. But at least I can give this track some good points. It's way better than Toad's Turnpike. Oh, and the music is really good. The third track of the cup is Sky Garden from Mario Kart Super Circuit. Sky Garden is the second track in the Lightning Cup in Mario Kart Super Circuit. The track will later return in Mario Kart DS, and just like in Super Circuit, it also appears in the Lightning Cup, but this time as a third track. Sky Garden also appears in Mario Kart Tour during the Sky Tour. The race begins with a left turn, following some slight turns, as well as a shortcut on your right which features two giant leaves acting like mushroom trampoline. Speaking of which, after you make another left turn, you encounter a mushroom trampoline you can bounce off. You then make a left turn going through the leafy bridge, as well as making a U-turn on the right featuring another vine bridge, straight leading you to the final turn. The final turn also features a shortcut which is under the beanstalk, and finally the track ends with a glide section before finishing the lap. I'm generally not that surprised to see this track being added in the DLC, as prior to the announcement of the boosted course pass, this track just got announced for Mario Kart Tour during the Sky Tour, during the Winter Celebration event alongside the Wario vs Waluigi Tour, as well as the 2022 Los Angeles Tour. You know, that tour that features that bitch-ass Charging Chuck. I'm really glad that asshole didn't got in, but we'll see in the next game. Anyways, when I play this track in Mario Kart Tour for the first time, the track layout is given some mixed receptions. Some people like the new layout while others prefer the original layout, and I don't blame them. So you're probably wondering, what do I think about the layout? It's alright. Sure, they may have shortened the track, but it's not that terrible in my opinion. But when it comes to the track designs in Tour and 8 Deluxe, I prefer the Tour version. And you're probably wondering why. It keeps the charm on what the original had, such as the blimps in the background, which was originally a Luigi blimp from GBA Luigi Circuit. But in the Tour version, it uses the same blimp from Singapore Speedway, and the road has some really nice texture. But as for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's not the best in my opinion. The blimps are replaced with airships, which I have no problem with that. But I would rather have the blimp in the background. And seeing those airships in the background, I guess Nintendo has tried to put some Cloud Top Cruise references here and there. And I am not a huge fan of the cobblestone texture being replaced with some orange stone textures. I have no issues with orange textures, I'm just not a fan of gray textures changing to orange or yellowish textures. While the track itself isn't that bad, I wish it could have kept the blimps and the gray textures, just to make the track stand out more. And that's all I have to say about Sky Garden. Also, before we move on to the final track, Ninja Highway, I want to give it some interesting trivia. Did you know that Cloud Top Cruise shares the same name as Sky Garden in another language, which is in Japanese, Chinese, and Korean? There, I hope you enjoyed that knowledge. And finally, the final track of the Lucky Cat Cup, as well as the first wave in general, is Ninja Highway from Mario Kart Tour. Even though the track doesn't have a prefix in 8 Deluxe, this is not an entirely original track for the DLC. Got it? Good. Anyways, Ninja Highway debuted in Mario Kart Tour during the 2021 Ninja Tour. It's also worth noting that this track, alongside Merry Mountain, were the only two non-city tracks to debut on Mario Kart Tour prior to the announcement of the boosted course pass. The race begins outside of the manor. You drive through the Zen Bridge and enter the manor. Upon entering the manor, you make a right turn following two left turns. The second left turn offers two different paths, where you want to take the bottom or going up the wooden stairs. There are ceilings which feature giant shurikens on the bottom of the platform. Running into them will cause the player to spin out. These ceilings will rise to the upper level and go lower to the bottom level. Also on the bottom route behind these two Piranha Plant wooden cutouts. which features a glide ramp at the end, while in the upper level you race above the ceilings on each side. But since you mostly come from the stairs, you mostly take on the left side. The final ceiling needle features a ramp at the end, which takes you to the top left. That is a room full of coins. Well, it depends on the ceiling, is either the upper level or the lower level. Anyways, on the left turn in the bottom route, you'll encounter 3 ninja Shy Guys, which they'll transform into a banana peel or any item depending on the selection of the items. On both upper and lower, alongside the shortcut from the bottom, there's a gliding ramp which will glide you over the pond to the pagoda. There are a few more ninja Shy Guys to avoid as they are in kites. There's also an air-blowing bamboo stalk that you can use to get to the upper route. Just like from before, there are also upper and lower routes that you can take. The bottom route features a sewer system, while the upper route features floorboards where you can raise on, as well as cogs on the walls. You then make a left turn on any of these 2 sides and head outside of the pagoda. The outside features wind currents blowing upwards, which they are coming from those colorful pinwheels. You then reach the finish line, as well as a glide ramp on the left, allowing players to glide to the upper floor of the manor. But if you want to be a badass in 200cc, you can really make this really long shortcut after the final pinwheel. I remember way back during the 2021 Mario Tour, Nintendo announces the 1.5 anniversary event for Mario Kart Tour on Twitter with 3 consecutive tours. The 2021 Mario Tour, as well as the Yoshi Tour, which the latter was so boring. And then there's a Ninja Tour, which was used to be known as !!!!!!, with the preview image of the outdoors of Ninja Hideaway. But at that moment, I was really excited to see another original track following Merry Mountain. But then when the Ninja Tour finally arrived, as well as playing it, I began to love the track already. The track layout, the Japanese aesthetics, and the music. Heck, I even made a Ninja Tour reaction video way back. But when I finally played Ninja Highway in the DLC for the first time, to me, it really brings back memories of the 2021 Ninja Tour, and I love that tour. Same with the 2023 tour. So overall, Ninja Highway is the best track to end off the first wave of the DLC, and that is all the tracks of the first wave. And let me just say, despite being the first wave, this is probably the weakest wave for the entire DLC, and I can't disagree with that. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on the Wave 2 video. Peace out, have a nice day, and take care. Goodbye.